This is Just a Thought, a podcast for parents ready to change their mind and change their lives. This podcast is packed full of the one thing that will change your life, your parenting, and your relationships. Don't believe me? It's just a thought. I'm your host, Christina Stead, and this is episode 13, Lucky. My thoughts today are short and sweet, a little more down to earth and less in the clouds than last week's thoughts. It's nice to have the contrast. Did you know that some of the synonyms for the word lucky are fortunate, blessed, favored, charmed, successful, prosperous, happy, advantaged, and providential? I love all of these synonyms because those words encompass how my thoughts make me feel today. Before I get started, I need to ask, do you think the number 13 is lucky? Well, whether it is or isn't, in your opinion, I think it is the perfect episode number to talk about how even during an arguably unlucky experience, which is just a thought, everything is completely in our favor and for our good. A few years ago, I found myself stuck in bed with a painful mix of the flu and strep throat. It was intense. And as I laid there, I asked God why I had been given that experience. I laid there in bed feeling like I was dying. And I really could have been. It was that bad. After my prayer, God sent me some inspiration. He taught me that he wanted me to slow down a little so he could teach me some important things. And so I got out my writing things and I told him I was ready. Let's get this learning done ASAP. But really, God's loving answer helped me embrace the experience of feeling so terribly sick. I realized it was a very important experience for me to have. I was very lucky, or blessed, seems more fitting to me. One of the things he taught me was that I had been talking too much, and it was important for me to practice listening and observing more. I had been struggling the weeks before I got sick, feeling like my children and my husband were just not listening to me. I felt like my children's behavior was out of control, and I just felt like if I only knew what to say to make them change. On that particularly lucky day, when I was laying there very sick, I happened upon Carrie's post called Stop Talking. Carrie from the Parenting Passageway has inspired me many times with her beautiful thoughts. She wrote, "Less talking does not mean being less warm with your child. On the contrary, it gives you the freedom from words that your child may be perceiving in a negative tone." Those of you with a melancholic or sensitive child know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you who have children where nothing works until I yell, less talking forces you to include the physical piece, using your gentle hands to guide your child to the next thing, using your gentle arms to hold your child and listen. Less talking puts your child in the place of being listened to, but not being judged. It puts your child in the position to not have to think about what a better choice would be for them to make in their behavior, but to have you be the parent and gently show them the better choice. They should not have to think about what the better choice is in behavior or food or anything else at an age under 7. This is for later, where we let our children own their mistakes in preparation for being out on their own and when their logical thought is coming into play. That time is not now. So I found as I lay there in bed and thought that it was very ironic, God sending this article to me when my voice was so sore that I couldn't talk. But I found that as I laid there and attempted to connect with my husband and children, that they had a lot to say to me. In these moments where they would talk to me and I normally might have lectured them or thought I had an interesting response to what they were saying, I ended up just listening. The pain it took to talk helped me remember to practice the listening instead of the talking. And I was so surprised by the connection I gained through these interactions. Another part of the article that stood out to me was the very verbal, in their heads little girls especially need this. Sometimes we expect an awful lot out of our 5, 6, and 7-year-old little girls, particularly if they are the oldest in the family. Sometimes we are just shocked when they actually act their developmental age and want to be held. They feel jealous of a sibling. They don't want to go somewhere or do something for someone else. They don't feel like playing with a younger sibling while we do something else, or they play roughly. Normal stages, but somehow we expect more out of them. Less talking can take a great burden off of these small souls to just let them be. Let them be just 5, 6, or 7, instead of seeing how mature they are. They have time to be mature. Right now they are little. Makes me want to cry just saying it. So now that I'm better and back to my painless talking self, I'm still trying to intentionally hold my words a little and just be what I want to say. Be a little more present instead of giving my 2 cents at every pause or even over someone else's voice. I learned this lesson years ago, but when I came upon it again recently, it still rang so true. My children today still benefit so much from my unconditional love, my soft answer and gentle redirection. I'm their mom. I don't need to yell or even talk sometimes to be powerful. This is Christina Stead, and this is Just a Thought.